Just days after Malcolm-Jamal Warner passing, we got Ice Cube stepping into the chat, backing up Katt Williams and his ideas about what really happened to Malcolm. This is what Cube had to say just a few days back.
Actor who really brought, realness to television, playing a great character, playing a great son on the Cosby Show.
And this type of energy comes after we found out about Malcolm's tragic drowning in Costa Rica, ruled an accident. But according to Katt, and now Ice Cube too, that wasn't no accident. In fact, it was a message. This ain't the first time a black man in Hollywood who refused to play the game ended up blocked, blackballed, or buried. We've heard Katt say those words over and over. Katt's been warning us about hidden forces in Hollywood, the ones that silence folks who say no to humiliation rituals, to dress-up roles, to clown behavior, and now he's connecting those same forces to Malcolm's career downfall and even his death. So was Malcolm really punished for keeping it solid? Was his legacy erased on purpose? And why are Cube and Katt suddenly on the same page? We're answering all of these questions, so stick around because what Ice Cube hinted at has the whole industry shaking. July 20th, 2025. A calm beach day in Costa Rica turned into a nightmare. Malcolm-Jamal Warner, actor, poet, activist, and father, was swimming with his 8-year-old daughter when a sudden rip current pulled them both under. Nearby surfers jumped in fast and his daughter made it out alive, but Malcolm didn't. Despite 20 minutes of CPR on the sand, it was too late. The official report says it was an accidental drowning and they suspect no foul play. Just a tragic incident at a beach known for strong, hidden currents and limited lifeguard coverage. And maybe that's the whole truth. Maybe it's just one of those freak moments life throws at you. But then again, maybe there's more to it. Because what's hitting people now isn't just the loss, it's the silence that came before it. The way the industry treated him while he was alive, like he was invisible. See, Malcolm wasn't chasing clout or selling out to stay relevant. He stayed rooted in something bigger than fame. He didn't rock with clown roles, never wore the dress, and never let Hollywood box him in. He said no, again and again, and paid the price in the form of quiet career blocks and missed opportunities. He wasn't less talented, he was just less controllable. And in Hollywood, that's a problem. Remember what Dave Chappelle told us about this topic a long time ago.
With certain dots, like when I see that they put every black man in the movies in a dress, at some point in their career, I'll be connecting them down like, wow, all these brothers gotta wear a dress.
So now all these tributes and pieces are pouring in, calling Malcolm a legend. But where was all that love when he needed it? When he was putting in work, staying grounded, pushing for real representation? That kind of posthumous praise starts to feel less like respect and more like cleanup. And that's exactly what Katt Williams has been calling out for years, that this industry only celebrates you after they've erased you. And now Ice Cube, someone who's been quiet about all this, is standing behind Katt's words. It's got people listening a little closer, because maybe Katt wasn't ranting, maybe he was revealing a pattern, and maybe Malcolm's accident is part of something deeper. And that's where Katt's claims and now Cube's alleged backing start making way more sense. Because if you listen close to what Katt's been saying for years, it's all right there. Some thought Katt was wilding, but now, with Malcolm gone under questionable circumstances, suddenly Katt's words hit different. Because this man wasn't just cracking jokes, he was pulling the curtain back on Hollywood's dirtiest secrets. Like Chappelle in his own way, Katt too talked about the rules for black men in the industry. And if you ain't trying to follow them, you get shut out, labeled crazy, or worse, erased. According to Katt, it starts small. They'll offer you a role, but it comes with strings. Maybe you gotta wear a dress. Maybe you gotta play the fool. Maybe you gotta be the loud, goofy sidekick while they laugh at you, not with you. It's all part of what Katt calls the humiliation ritual, a system that tests if you're willing to sell your dignity for fame. Now ask yourself, did you ever see Malcolm-Jamal Warner do any of that? Nah, same with Katt. Neither one of them played the buffoon, and for that, they paid the price. Katt got branded difficult, unhinged, blackballed from platforms that used to book him. Meanwhile, Malcolm didn't get labeled crazy. He just got ignored. His career got quiet. His name disappeared from big-budget call sheets, not because he couldn't act, but because he wouldn't dance for their agenda. What Katt's really exposing is a whole system built to punish anyone who won't fall in line. If you don't go with the program, they program the public against you. They starve your career, twist your image, and then, when you're gone, they post you like you were royalty the whole time. That's why folks are starting to circle back. After you put the pieces together, everything Katt's been screaming into the void about hidden forces in Hollywood is playing out in front of our eyes. And just when we thought the industry couldn't be more calculated, here comes Ice Cube. Ice Cube hasn't always been loud when it comes to Hollywood's hidden games, but when he does speak, it hits different. It sounds a lot like Cube is siding with Katt Williams and calling out the exact same system that turned its back on Malcolm. See, Cube's never needed a red carpet to keep it real. He's one of the few who've always moved with integrity and leverage. When you go back to No Vaseline, you realize this man been warning us. That whole song was one long middle finger to the industry and the puppets who sold out to it. He called out how record labels and greedy managers would exploit black artists, strip them of their power, and feed them back to the public as controlled assets. But I'm a man, and ain't nobody helping me. That line wasn't just about music beef. It was about self-respect, about not being used. And doesn't that sound a lot like what Katt's been preaching? About how saying no to the system gets you punished. That's why fans are now connecting the dots. Even though Cube didn't name-drop Katt or Malcolm, the vibe was unmistakable. Cube knows what this game does to outspoken black men who refuse to be clowns. And when you connect that to how Malcolm was moving behind the scenes, the spooky picture of Hollywood gets clearer. Because while Hollywood was busy chasing trends and pushing stereotypes, Malcolm was building something real. He didn't need to scream to make his message clear. He just lived it. Whether it was through his Not All Hood podcast, his public interviews, or the roles he chose not to take, Malcolm was a man who said no to the game and meant it. On Not All Hood, the title said it all. Co-hosted with journalist Candace Kelly, the podcast was a rejection of the tired, one-dimensional portrayals of black life. Malcolm wasn't here for the mainstream's obsession with trauma, violence, and caricature. He wanted to showcase the full range of black experiences, the thinkers, the builders, the artists, the parents, the teachers. In every episode, Malcolm brought in voices that the industry ignored. People who were out here doing the real work, shifting culture from the ground up. And he didn't just stop there. Malcolm wrote op-eds, gave interviews, and made it very clear why he turned down certain roles, even if the scripts were polished. If they pushed stereotypes, gang life, drugs, broken families, he passed. He wasn't going to feed the machine that paints black men as disposable, dangerous, or dumb. Malcolm called out what he saw as fake representation, the kind that pretends to be progress but still plays to the same old tropes. And all of this comes from his early days. Malcolm was already moving different as a youngin'. He came into the game with purpose baked into his DNA. Born in 1970 and named after two black legends, Malcolm X and jazz genius Ahmad Jamal. Malcolm was literally built on resistance and culture, and when he blew up as Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, he didn't just ride the wave, he redirected it. That show changed the image of black families on TV, and Malcolm carried that legacy with intention. But here's the thing, he didn't stop at acting. While most young stars were soaking up attention, Malcolm was behind the camera, directing episodes of The Cosby Show, The Fresh Prince, and even educational joints like Sesame Street and AIDS awareness content. He wasn't here to just perform, he wanted control of the narrative. He wanted to shape stories, not just be plugged into somebody else's. And when the industry started typecasting black men into gangbangers, clowns, or sidekicks, Malcolm stepped to the left. He rejected the scripts that made us look like stereotypes, even when the money was right. Instead, he took roles that pushed a different kind of image. A youth counselor in Here and Now, a loving husband in Read Between the Lines, a thoughtful character who wasn't stuck in trauma or comedy gimmicks. That was Malcolm's lane. Real, layered, principled. He didn't just speak through characters either. His spoken word poetry won Grammys. His music had meaning. And on his Not All Hood podcast, he straight up challenged the system. Every episode was about breaking out of the box the media tries to cram black people into. He was using his voice to make space for artists, thinkers, activists. So yeah, he didn't get the blockbuster roles. He wasn't trending every month. But that's not because he lacked talent. It's because he chose intentionality over clout. He didn't fold, didn't sell out, didn't bite his tongue when things got uncomfortable. In every role, every poem, every podcast, Malcolm was exposing how deep this industry's game goes. And now, in the shadow of his passing, the truth is becoming clearer. He wasn't just an actor. He was a quiet resistor, a cultural critic, a man who lived the exact warning Katt Williams been shouting from the rooftops. Now, let's take another look at The Cosby Show. Malcolm always said he wanted to carry the torch from The Cosby Show. Not the scandal, but the symbolism. A black family on TV that looked educated, loving, layered. A show that told kids it was okay to be soft-spoken, smart, and still black. And even when the culture shifted away from that kind of storytelling, Malcolm held the line. He wasn't looking for viral moments or red carpets. He was moving with intentionality, turning down big money just to keep his integrity. And that's what makes this hit even harder, because just like Katt, Malcolm refused to conform. Just like Cube, he rejected the puppet strings. And while the system didn't come after him publicly, it did what it always does when you don't play along. It acted like he wasn't there. Until now. So why now? Why is the industry finally calling him a legend only after he's gone? Because that very moment when Malcolm passed, Hollywood flipped the switch. Suddenly, the same machine that barely acknowledged him while he was alive couldn't stop talking about his greatness. Tributes from former co-stars, throwback interviews, think pieces, and carefully worded social media posts flooded the timeline. Networks that hadn't spotlighted his work in years, now calling him a pioneer, a legend, a voice for the culture. But where was all this when he was still breathing? Let's be honest, that's the industry's playbook. When you're alive and moving with purpose, refusing to play the clown, they keep your name off the list. But the second you pass, the cleanup act begins. With Malcolm, it was no different. Suddenly, people are revisiting The Resident, sharing clips from The Cosby Show, and posting old interviews where he spoke about black identity, representation, and healing. But the truth is, while he was alive, they didn't platform him, and they certainly didn't celebrate the man who chose dignity over dollars. And this is where Katt Williams' words feel prophetic, because he's been saying it for years. You're only celebrated once you're no longer a threat to the Hollywood agenda. The industry doesn't honor black men who move with backbone while they're alive. They just wait until they can't speak for themselves, and then they repackage your legacy, put a bow on it, and sell it back to the public like they were always in your corner. But make no mistake, this ain't about love. It's about control. It's about managing the narrative after the fact. And it makes you wonder, how many others were erased because they chose self-respect over submission? So at the end of the day, the official story says Malcolm-Jamal Warner drowned in Costa Rica. Strong rip current, no lifeguards on duty, tragic accident. But ask around, listen to the conversations. Look at what's been bubbling under every post. Was this really just a freak accident? Or the system silencing someone they couldn't control? Katt Williams has been warning us about this exact pattern. That if you don't play the game, if you reject the humiliation rituals, the clown roles, the puppet strings, Hollywood doesn't just sideline you, it disappears you. And once you're gone, then, and only then, do they start calling you legendary. Malcolm didn't chase the spotlight, he chased truth. He stayed off the red carpets, rejected the dress-up gigs, and refused to turn his blackness into a stereotype. And the more he said no, the quieter things got. Until one day, it was over. Now, nobody's saying Hollywood took out Malcolm. There's no direct evidence. No smoking gun, no confirmed setup. But the pattern is what's got people watching closely. First they ignore you, then they erase you, then they rebrand you. All while the public's left to mourn a man they barely got to hear from. And now, Ice Cube's stepping in and echoing the same frustrations Katt's been voicing for years. The same frustrations Malcolm lived.